Hey VC, what's up? It's me, yours truly. I am back to post a quick video here. This is going to be my vinyl tag, the Quarantine Edition 2020, which I think Noble Records put up a little while ago. And I've seen a few people that have done responses and some fun questions, so I decided to kind of jump on board and do a quick response myself. Um, the one thing I did do is when I decided to do it, I didn't put a ton of thought into it. I just kind of told myself, pick the first thing that comes to mind. So I kept it a little more kind of just right there on the surface instead of really trying to dig in and getting overly analytical like I do sometimes when answering these questions. And just kind of give you guys a little bit of a heads up too. Billy Hirsch and I are going to do a live stream this coming Monday at what's that, the 28th? At 7 o'clock Central Time. We're going to do our first live stream together and kind of just go through and talk about some different things. So we're going to do it through Billy Hurst, his channel. So make sure you kind of go over there and tune in at 7 o'clock on Monday if you guys want to kind of jump in and check things out and kind of chat with us. So I think it'll be fun. But yeah, let me kind of dive right into this. Go kind of quick because I don't want to make this a very, very long video. Let's just jump into question number one. Favorite record from your home state or city? So where I live right now is kind of just south of St. Louis, so I'm pretty much kind of claim St. Louis and as where home is right now. So when I think about not only just Missouri but St. Louis specifically, I narrowed it down to, I mean, come on, how can you not? Ike and Tina Turner, which I believe, when Tina came to live with some family here is where she first met Ike, and I think Ike and Tina Turner Review really kind of started here and turned into the mega thing that it was. So fantastic album, of course. That this is working together, and it has Proud Mary and a lot of the stuff that you know about, but definitely a great hidden track on there is the song Working Together. Really, really cool track. Question number two, an album you highly recommend. And again, the very first one that popped in my mind was this one here, which is Everything But the Girl. Great album. Amplified Heart is the name of the album. This was the 25th anniversary edition, which I was so happy they issued this on vinyl. And the reason I say this is one that I definitely recommend is because the hit song on here does not match the rest of the album, and I think it kind of hides the rest of the album. And of course, the hit song was Missing. That was a really kind of big hit for them. And even if you don't know that song, if you heard it, everyone will either go, I really love that song, or I hate that song. But you have heard it before because it was just kind of one of those everywhere kind of songs. Kind of upbeat, kind of dancey and poppy, but 90% of the rest of the album is not like that. And that's why I kind of put this up to say I recommend it. Matter of fact, if I'm describing this, I guess maybe comparing it to another artist with the rest of the album, it would be Dido. I think what the rest of this album sounds like is Dido kind of has that very high-pitched, teenagey type of voice, if you will. Imagine her being a little more mature and still doing Dido type of stuff. And that's really what you get with the rest of the songs on this album. And it's just one of those, it's just such a pleasant album to listen to. Like it feels good to listen to it. Just sonically, the way that it sounds and the way her voice comes across. It's just awesome. And every single time I put this album on and listen to it, I go through that process every single time. Like, wow, that just sounds amazing. So that's kind of again why I said that's an album I would recommend, because I think it gets so overshadowed by the hit that's on it. Tip for beginners, question number three. A few different things I would throw out there for beginners, and I think really kind of the big 30,000 foot view type of picture is always make your collection and what you decide to collect, make it a perfect reflection of you. Don't get caught up in making your collection about other people, whether it's looking online or watching videos and saying, well, I should have that because everybody over there is buying that, or all that type of stuff. Um, I always say, because one of the things that you'll hear a lot in the vinyl community, 'cause I'm saying this from a person who's caught some flack for this myself, and not necessarily negative, but just they've caught in flack for it, would be, you only buy original pressings, or some people that only buy reissues, or people that, it's like, everybody goes through their different stages in collecting. And so don't let other people determine your stage. Go with what's making you happy right now and what you are really excited about. And I guarantee you, over the course of time, it's going to change. And somewhere along the lines, the things that you thought were awesome all of a sudden suck. And then all of a sudden, the things that you said didn't matter whatsoever matters to you more than anything, and just allow yourself to go through those changes, and just don't be so influenced by what everyone else thinks you should have, or by watching other people's videos, you think you should have this. Don't allow yourself to get caught up in that. And we all do at all different stages of collecting. It's just kind of, I think it's kind of natural. So that would be my biggest piece of advice for collectors, or new, or beginners, I should say. Because I remember, when I first started collecting, going to the dollar bins was the most magical thing ever. To go into a store and spend $25 and come out with, 18 records, and just be like, and I would take those records home, and I was listening to every single one of them, and I loved it to death, and it was the greatest thing ever. But when I look at a lot of those records now, with me shifting over time to caring a lot more about condition, you know, vast majority of those records wouldn't even begin to be an option to come into my collection. I wouldn't even give them a second look right now, and I got rid of them. But then also, when I switched to condition, I didn't care that much about original pressings or not. I cared more so strictly about, is this record almost at a perfect condition standpoint. But now I'm shifting over to, I'm caring about pressings more. So it's kind of like, just go through your stages, and be okay with every stage you're at. Don't let other people guide those for you. So that's my tip for a beginner. Be happy and enjoy it. Don't make it be a pressure thing. First record that really got you deeper into music. First one that really came to mind was this one here. Because I still feel most of the stuff I was listening to at the time was stuff that kind of everyone knew about. I had listened to 90s pop type of stuff, a lot of the mainstream stuff, your Cranberries and 10,000 Maniacs and all of that. I was still listening to 80s hair metal and stuff like that, 80s hip hop, and, on and on and on. But when I first started collecting vinyl, I mean, I don't even know if I had 30 pieces in my collection at the time, maybe 50 records at the time. And I was in a store just kind of browsing around, and the guy put this on. And while I'm browsing, again, I know nothing about jazz. I've never really heard the name John Coltrane, at least not that I recall. And all I know is I'm feeling whatever the heck this is playing, and this stuff is amazing. And I went up and asked him, what's that's playing? He's like, John Coltrane, Love Supreme. And actually, I should have pulled that out, because I still have that copy he was playing that day. It's not in great condition, but I refused to get rid of it out of my collection, because it was the first that brought me in. And I picked up this reissue a little bit later. But he was like, yeah, John Coltrane. He started telling me a little bit about who he was. And I was like, no, I've never heard of him, but I've got to have that. And I bought it that day. And I think this was really kind of the first not so well known masterpiece that I bought, and kind of really got me into paying attention to some of that deeper stuff in music. I mean, there are other things you may consider just great classic pieces of work, but there are also kind of things that maybe everyone kind of already knew about. If you want to talk about Queen albums, or Who albums, or whatever, Temptations or Ray Charles, or big classic groups. But that was kind of the first one where, unless you were a jazz person, you probably didn't know about it. And it's like, whoa, I'm discovering something completely new, and that's legendary. So number 5, an obscure record people may not know about. I went with this one here. So I don't think I've seen anyone show this in the VC, but this is the Bobby Teens. And this is We Like 'Em Young and Dumb. Um, so yeah, kind of a neat album. I guess you can call it a little bit obscure. Uh, I definitely have it filed in my punk section, if you will. But it's a really fun album, though. What it really sounds like is four teenagers after school that have been strumming around on their instruments, maybe for a couple of months and don't really know how to play them, but have kind of figured out how to make a few notes. But even the notes then aren't really crisp, and they just get together in their garage and someone puts a microphone in the middle of the floor and they just kind of are more acting silly than actually trying to play. And but it's a fun, cool album to listen to. So if you're not familiar with them, the song I'd recommend checking out off of this is the song "Secret Date." That's definitely my favorite track off of this album. But I mean, yeah, cool. It's a pretty cool group. Excuse me. Let's see, what number are we on? Number 6, a group who you collect all of their albums or try to. Well, first one that came to mind was this one because I just completed my discography with them just a little while ago, and it's Earth, Wind, and Fire. And of course, you guys know them, legendary. But yeah, you know, classic, legendary R&B group, one of the most musical, throughout the course of their career. Just funky, colorful, creative, just a little bit of everything, and just some of the most classic R&B ever, R&B and soul, if you will. But yeah, so like I said, I just completed their discography here. With some albums and some groups, I don't care about reissues, I don't care about original pressings or that type of thing. But with that particular collection, I wanted all of them to be original pressings, but then also being able to find them in mint condition or near mint condition, because that Earth, Wind, and Fire stuff is everywhere, but finding it in mint condition all the time is a bit of a challenge. So it was really nice to finally finish that discography. Let's see. Number 7, a band whose second album is better than their first. Well, L. Andrew actually had my original pick, which he picked the Smashing Pumpkins, their their second album, which is a lot better than their first, which I totally agree with. So my next just kind of gut instinct, without getting too deep actually, was just going right to Metallica. I mean, Ride the Lightning to me definitely trumps Kill 'Em All quite a bit. So, I think that's definitely one that represents the second album being better than the first extremely well. And that's saying a lot because Kill 'Em All is killer. But I mean, Ride the Lightning is just amazing. All right, so next one is uh oh, show a whack-a-mole. So let's just reach back over here and grab something. Let's make sure we don't mess it up. Okay, Dave Mason. This is a decent album. If it's like You Never Left, not my favorite album by him, but definitely kind of that nice early '70s feel to it. Matter of fact, there's really not necessarily a song on here that I say is like one that I think is just so amazing or whatever else. This again is just one of those, I like his style, and it's just one of those very pleasant albums to listen to. But he has one or two that I actually think maybe are a little bit better than this one, but still a really, really solid album. All right, so next question, number 9. What album have you listened to the most in your life? That was really hard, but when I really, really think about it, I would probably have to say Twisted Sister Stay Hungry, because this is an album I've been listening to since 5th grade. And, I've listened to it in the past couple months as well. And I just, uh, Billy Hirsch just put an order in for some stuff. And one of the things that he also picked up for me was a MoFi copy of this. So, I'll be spinning that again in a few days when I get my hands on that. So it's like, yeah, from 5th grade until 2020, that album is still just spinning, and it's just such a classic album. One of the first hard rock metal, if you will, hair metal, blah, 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 albums that I ever really listened to. And for that summer of my 5th grade year, between fifth and sixth grade. And there was four of us on the block that were really good friends, and we all had our little boom boxes and everything. And there was not a single day that we were if you were hanging out at someone's house, this cassette was in the boom box and it was playing at all times. I mean, oh my gosh, I cannot imagine how many times I've listened to this album. But it never gets old. So let's see. Show an album with a crazy story. I'm not sure if this is crazy, but it made me feel a little silly when this happened. But it's the album, The New Pornographers, electric version, which is kind of a cool album. I definitely probably like their album Challenger a little more than this, but still great album. But what the deal is, and kind of the crazy story behind this is, I used to always go to this store called Hastings, which was in a town that I worked in sometimes about 2 days a week. So every time I went down there, I would always stop in. And what Hastings used to do sometimes, they would have these random, just gigantic markdowns where they would just have some album that was typically $18.99. All of a sudden it's $1.99 or $2.99. And, they would randomly do it. And whenever they did, I would just always snag whatever it was, because my attitude was, for $3, I'll take a chance on an album I don't know and listen to it. And if I don't like it, I'll just sell it. And I picked up some incredible stuff there. There was some Owl City stuff that I picked up for $1.99. I ended up selling both of them for over $100 each online later on. A lot of the National stuff that I have, the group The National, picked that up there for $3 a pop. A lot of the Ben Harper stuff that I have, which is $29, $30 albums, pick those up for $3.99 there. So I used to just grab everything that they marked down like that. And this was one that they marked down like that on that day. So I was like, $2.99? Sure, I'll give it a try. Took it home, listened to kind of, 2 or 3 songs on it, and was just like, just kind of moved past it really quick. Well, so now I had this stack of records to trade. So I take those to the store to trade, and I give them to the guy, and he's like, yeah, let me kind of look through them and look them up, see what some of this stuff is worth. And this is one that was in there. So I'm sitting there, digging through the store, waiting for him to come up with a number. And I'm listening to this album that he's playing. I'm like, man, that's awesome stuff. Man, I love that song. And the song Chump Change came on. And I was like, man, that is awesome. I need to get that. So I was like, whatever that is, I'm going to buy it when he tells me how much credit I have. Well, I go up there. This is what he was playing. He had just taken one of the albums out of my stack and threw it on. And I'm like, dude, what's that you're playing? That's freaking awesome. What is it? Blah, blah. He's like, and at first he said, that's the New Pornographers. I was like, oh, that's cool. How much is it? And he was like, that's yours. I'm like, what? And I was like, okay, yeah. I never sat down and actually took the time to go all the way through it at the time that I got it. And it kind of just got lost in a back shuffle. Because again, it was just something I picked up because of the price. So yeah, that was kind of, a strange or crazy story about that, because I love that song Chump Change. It's probably my second favorite song by them, overall out of their entire catalog. So that was a little bit of a kind of a crazy story. Let's see. Question number 11. What are your collecting pet peeves? In store, as maybe compared to VC, in store, I think a couple people, like Andrew, I know he mentioned about putting stickers on the covers, as well as even some that put stickers on the label. Which again, I don't mind the price tags and the stickers. I mean, you kind of have to do what you have to do, but you could at least make sure that the type of stickers you're using or whatever else come off easy without leaving any residue. I don't think that's much of a challenge to figure out which ones do that. I was actually in a store out in the Connecticut area last year, and I thought it was kind of cool. So what the guy did there was he wrote all the information on the sleeve, on the sleeve that he put over the record. So he just didn't put price. He would write the name of the album, the condition and the price. So you couldn't just go swapping stuff around. But still, it was okay, great. I can just toss that sleeve, and there was nothing on the record, which was kind of cool. But yeah, so that's definitely one of my pet peeves. The another one of being in a record store, I can't stand when people go down, an aisle looking at records and just leave it looking like a tornado came through with, this stack falling forward, this stack falling back, and some records sitting in there all crooked. And it's just like, God, this is how you treat records in a store. I can't even imagine what your poor collection at home is going through. Poor things. Uh, it's just like have a little bit of respect. Like you can see that's just a jumbled mess with albums sitting, like literally sitting in the stack, like this. And it's just like, come on. That's a big pet peeve. And last but not least on the pet peeves, going back towards like the channels here on YouTube, um, the one that, what people like, what people don't like, and all of that, I think that's just all sharing and it's part of talking about music. What I can't stand is when someone maybe has like a CD or something like that that's not an official release, and someone says that's fake. I hate that terminology. That's so stupid. Like I understand what you're saying is that it's not official or that's not an official release, but still say that it's not an official release. But even more so, why do you feel compelled and need to say it's not an official release? I mean, I have two box sets or three box sets that aren't official releases that I've shown like years and years ago, and someone said that. But what I'm really talking about are other people's videos that I watch now, and I look at the comments or see a comment where someone goes, "That's fake." That's fake. That just sounds like the most whiny, bitchiest little thing that someone it's almost on like the same level of you're a poo-poo head. And I don't know why that bothers me so much. That's fake. That's fake. No, it's a real CD. It just wasn't an official release, but shut up. Like, who cares? So that's one of my pet peeves that gets under my skin. And again, I don't know why that one bothers me so much. Um, and I guess not to go on and on about it. I guess it bothers me so much because I feel like someone feels the need to go out of their way to try to make that statement to someone to let them know what they have is not good or not good enough or whatever. Like I guess it's just like the need to like I have this overwhelming need to bring that negativity to you, so to speak. Maybe I think that's part of what it is. But anyway, moving right along, an album or genre people will be surprised that you like. Is there anything you guys would be surprised that I like? I mean, we can go pull out Justin Bieber over here, Taylor Swift over here, Enya over here, you know, Testament over here. Like, I think you guys know I'm pretty much all over the place. But the best thing I could come up with was maybe this Lindsey Sterling. I was gonna pull out a couple of Yanni records that I have, but then I thought she might even be a little better representation because she's kind of a little bit of Yanni and Enya and Trans-Siberian Orchestra and kind of all that put together. She plays like an electronic violin and it's kind of, she has some different guest appearances of artists on here. So it's kind of I don't know. It's just another Yanni type of thing, if you will. So I don't know if that's be surprising to people at all or not, but that was kind of one of the things I thought might not be the first thing that people would say about me or whatever. Let's see. Question number 13, a record from the year you were born. And this actually was released just within a few days of my birthday. So I tried to even narrow it down closer because, of course, there's a lot of albums that came out the year I was born, but I said this one was released just within a few days of my birthday. So you have the New York Dolls, definitely kind of some trendsetters. I mean, the stuff they were doing at the time was just, early 70s was freaking phenomenal. Definitely a classic record right there. Next question is show a 10-inch record or share your opinion of 10-inch records. The only one I have is this Metallica Live at Grimey's, and the only reason I bought it was because it was the new Metallica record at the time. I don't have 10-inch records. I'm not a fan of 10-inch records, and not because I had some bad experience with them. It's just never had really a desire for him, never really liked him. And at this point in time, it feels like even just getting a few, even having this one, it's just kind of like out of place. Like, where does it go? Kind of, that type of thing. So yeah, I just, again, no bad experiences. I just don't have any gravitation towards him at all. Could kind of care less about him. Um, Share an interesting fact about an album or song. I'm on the right one there. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to share some interesting facts about actually two songs because it's really by the same person. And these facts are coming from a conversation that me and a few other people got to have with David Porter, which is also when I was able to get these records signed. And for those who don't know David Porter, he was one of the main writers kind of with Stax Records. Like he and Isaac Hayes were basically the two that wrote like everything. So when you talk about songs like "Hold On, I'm Coming," "Sitting on the Dock of the Bay" with Otis Redding, and just all of that type of stuff, it was Porter was one of the guys at the helm of doing all of that. And he worked with all of them, so you can only imagine just the magic. I've told this story before in the past, a few years ago, of just being able to sit and talk with him and get those stories was just amazing. So two of the stories that he told me, which I think are interesting stories about songs, were how they came up with a couple of pieces in two very legendary songs. And one was a song, of course, "Hold On, I'm Coming" by Sam and Dave. As you can see on the writing credits right here, by Isaac Hayes and David Porter. They were the two that wrote that song. So he's telling us how they're sitting in the studio. It's him, Isaac Hayes, and I think one other person. And the studio at the time, I think it was Stax, used to be an old movie theater. So just like a movie theater, you come in the front, you have the aisles, and then the whole recording area was down where you would typically see a screen, a movie screen. So when you have to use a restroom or whatever, just like in the movies, you go up the aisle and back out. And so they're working really late. They're trying to finish this song. They can't figure out, how to finish this and blah, blah, blah. I got to go to the restroom. And I forgot which one, if it was Isaac or the other guy that ran up. And I guess he's doing a lot of something in the restroom. It's taking a long time. And David said, so we were screaming at him, come on, man, we got to get this thing done. It's getting late. Get back down here. And he said that all we heard, especially, again, a movie theater, nobody in there, it's empty. They hear an echo come from up there where he screams, "Hold on, I'm coming." And he was just like, then the way that it just echoed through the theater when it came down, we were like, that's it. And so the hook for "Hold On, I'm Coming" came from him shouting at the top of the theater that he was in the toilet, "Hold on, I'm coming." Um, and the other very cool one too, the other story I want to share about that is the song "Soul Finger" by the Bar-Kays. And again, you guys probably know that very well. And there's that part in there where you hear like the kids' voices saying "Soul Finger, Soul Finger," and then they scream and they go back into like the trumpet riff, if you will. Well, he was telling us same thing. They're working on a song, trying to, complete different aspects to it. He says, I go across the street because there's a little store across the street. We can go and buy sodas and drinks or snacks or whatever wanted something to snack on. So it's like I go across there. There's a bunch of kids that are just sitting out around the store. And, listening to them playing and all this type of stuff, it's just the sound that kids make. And he just kind of heard that. And he said, hey, if you kids will come over to the studio for 1 minute, I'll buy each of you a bottle of soda. I'll buy you one Coke. And of course, as poor as kids were back then, like a Coke was a big freaking deal. So he bought them each a soda, and they came over to the theater, and he just put them into the room and just said, when I point at you, just scream "Soul Finger." And then when I point at you like this, just scream. And so there was no like rehearsing or no anything. It was just a bunch of random kids he brought off the street. When he pointed at them, they said "Soul Finger." So if you go back and listen to that song, you can really kind of hear it. But yeah, so two interesting stories I think about two songs. And again, just sitting with him for, God, it was at least 30 or 45 minutes and just listening to him talking about this and that. We came up with this and this is how this and Otis this and Isaac this. And he said that so many times you had to almost readjust your brain to understand when he says Otis, he's talking about Otis Redding. When he says Isaac, he's talking about Isaac Hayes. And he's talking about him like it's my friend Tim and Joe. It was just freaking mind blowing. But anyway, moving right along. This video is gonna get long. Let's see. Showing album with an animal on the cover. So just really quick there. The Butthole Surfers. Got a nice little dog there on the cover. Locust Abortion Technician. Really glad when they reissued this a couple years ago. Really cool album. Showing album with crazy artwork. This is the first one that came to mind, probably because I just listened to it a couple days ago. So the Pink Swords, Shut Up and Take It, whatever that's supposed to be, with a half-naked girl with a plunger in her face. Reminds me a lot of that, like that heavy metal. You remember the movie, animated movie or whatever, the cartoon. Every time I see this cover, it reminds me of that movie. But yeah, I thought that's a different kind of cover. Pink Swords is a cool group too. Definitely kind of on their punk band. Little bit more of an accessible punk band. I mean, you can catch some of their songs on here that may actually have kind of a melody attached to it. Not like Green Day punk melody, which is really more pop to me anyway. But, this is definitely kind of one of those listener friendly that could help bring someone really into true punk music, if you will. So a great example, if you're not familiar with them, is the song Down and Dirty. That'll kind of give you an idea of kind of their nice punk / melody mix that they can do. So that's the crazy artwork. Show a really good album you can find for cheap. There's a bunch of those, but I went with this one here. Linda Ronstadt, Greatest Hits, one of the greatest female rock and roll vocalists. You can typically find these, depending on condition as well, anywhere from $4 to $5 up to maybe $8 or something like that. You can find one in great condition, but fantastic album. I mean, both her greatest hits albums for that matter, and just a solid album. This is one where you can go all over the place, or she can go all over the place, I should say, because whether you're talking about something like You're No Good, that's very kind of soulful, kind of coming on that Aretha Franklin type of approach. But then you also have something as soft as Desperado that she pulls off on this. Different drums, so now you're bringing in kind of that 60s, 70s flower power type of feel. When Will I Be Loved, kind of getting back in just like, just old type of, not country / rock, but just kind of, that feel. Tracks of My Tears, Heat Wave, kind of bringing in the Motown thing. That woman was bad. That's all I can say. And so, yeah, a very solid record that you can get for $5 or $6 right there. Great piece to have. Question 19, show an album with an acquired taste. I'm going to go with Sunra, Strange Strings, which is basically the acquired taste here is kind of free jazz when you really get down to it. And that genre in general is a very much an acquired taste. But this is a perfect example of that, and probably my favorite Sunra album. And yes, Strange Strings, the easiest way to describe this is imagine you have like I don't know, maybe like a smaller orchestra, like a 30-piece orchestra or something like that. And they're all just backstage getting ready for the show. So they're, kind of tuning up things and listening, and some are maybe actually playing. Some are just kind of, doing exercises or whatever, and it's just kind of all that noise. And imagine someone just snuck into the middle of that without being noticed and just put a microphone in the middle of the floor and just snuck right back out and just recorded their entire warm-up. That's Strange Strings right there. And I don't know what it is about that, but that stuff, it makes sense to me. I catch myself in it, or I find my place in it. Is probably the better way to put it. Show an album with, no, I already did that. Show your most recent find. Just picked up a nice little stack of records today, actually, which I'll probably do in a video tomorrow. But this is one of the things that I picked up, which was Motorhead, self-titled from 1977. This is the Back on Black 2LP pressing. And again, it's kind of classic Motorhead. Again, awesome stuff. So still trying to complete their collection out right now. So, That's a lot, 35 minutes almost. So anyway, VC, thanks for watching. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Hope you found something interesting in this 30 minutes worth of stuff. And like I said again, 7 o'clock p.m. Central Time on Monday the 28th, couple days here. Go over to Billy Hurst's channel. He and I will be doing a live stream there and just kind of talking music like we do. All right, take care, VC. We'll talk to you soon.